Strategized original sports commentary rewrite approach. Tomorrow night on Center Court, tennis is about to hand us a story that no screenwriter could have planned better, because a 21-year-old from the Philippines is about to walk out against the woman who owns this tournament, and somehow the smart money isn't nearly as one-sided as it should be. Alex Eala has spent the last few months turning heads in a way that nobody saw coming, not even the most optimistic corner of her fan base, and by the time she landed at the All-England club, she was already riding the hottest grass court form of her career, a title run in Birmingham that showed her aggressive, unpredictable game could actually thrive on the sport's trickiest surface, followed by a deep run in Berlin where she knocked off opponent after opponent who were supposed to be out of her league. None of that was luck. It was the kind of stretch that turns a promising young player into someone tournaments have to take seriously, and it's exactly why she walked into Wimbledon as a seeded player for the first time in her life, the first Filipina to ever hold that distinction here, carrying a target on her back that she'd never had to carry before. But seeding doesn't hand you an easy draw, and in the second round she ran straight into a ghost from her recent past, a player who had broken her heart so badly in a final last year that she couldn't watch a replay of it for months afterward. When she dropped that first set, you could almost feel the sense of dread creeping back in, like maybe this was just going to be one of those matches where old wounds reopen. Instead, something shifted. She found another gear, rewrote her game plan on the fly, and absolutely took over, closing it out in a way that didn't just erase the deficit but buried it, finishing with a scoreline that left no doubt about who the better player was that day. That win wasn't about revenge, not really. It was proof, mostly to herself, that the young woman stepping onto this grass now bears almost no resemblance to the one who left that final in tears 12 months ago, and she said as much afterward, admitting that she can finally think about that old defeat and actually smile rather than wince. Keep that in mind, because confidence like that doesn't just show up out of nowhere, it gets built one hard match at a time, and it's arriving at exactly the right moment for what's coming next. Standing on the other side of the net tomorrow is someone who barely needs an introduction, a six-time major champion who has spent years redefining what dominance looks like on a tennis court, and last year on this very court, she produced one of the most brutal, one-sided Grand Slam finals anyone has ever witnessed. A double bagel that put her in an incredibly rare club of players who've ever won a major final without dropping a single game. That's the standard she's defending. That's the wall Eala has to somehow find a way around. And through this fortnight so far, the champion has looked every bit like someone who intends to keep her crown, grinding out a tough three-set fight in her opener before absolutely steamrolling her next opponent in barely over an hour. Every surface-level indicator points toward a comfortable night for the top seed. Higher ranking, more hardware, more experience on exactly this grass. On paper it reads like a mismatch. But Wimbledon has a long history of laughing at paper, and these two aren't strangers walking into a random draw. They've actually got a little history between them already, a rivalry so far that's split perfectly down the middle. Eala drew first blood with a stunning upset in Miami that announced her as a legitimate threat rather than just a name to watch, and the champion answered back weeks later on clay, squaring the ledger at 1 apiece. So, this isn't just another third-round assignment for either of them, it's round 3 of something that already has real weight behind it, except this time it's happening on a surface that changes the entire calculus. For years there was a genuine debate about whether a heavy topspin, western grip, clay court style could ever really translate to the low, skidding bounce of grass, and last year's final answered that question about as emphatically as possible. But tennis has a funny habit of resurrecting old questions the moment the right opponent shows up, and there's a real case to be made that Eala might be exactly that kind of problem because her whole game is built around unpredictability rather than repetition, constantly mixing pace, changing angles, and refusing to let opponents settle into any kind of rhythm, which becomes especially dangerous on a surface that rewards fast reflexes and constant adjustment. Even the champion herself has admitted, in the lead-up to this one, that she finds Eala's game genuinely tricky and isn't fully sure how it will play out on grass, which is not something you typically hear from someone with 6 major titles to her name. That small crack of uncertainty says a lot. Beyond the tactics and the rankings, there's a much more personal layer to all of this too, because every match Eala plays here carries the weight of an entire country behind it. She's already made history as the first Filipina in the modern era to win a main draw match at this tournament, and every round she survives pushes that story further into territory nobody from her country has ever reached before. She's talked about this openly, not as a burden,